Hi, everybody. Well, today I am super excited to have Shawna Wicker join us. And Shawna is a wife, a mom, also an international educator, and a clarity coach for right-brained women who want to do what they love full time. That sounds amazing, huh? She can be found on Instagram at I am Shawna Wicker. It's IAMSHAWNA and WICKER. So I am Shawna Wicker, her first and last name. And she has gone through a huge mindset shift from working a 9-to-5 job to quitting it and going on her own. So today, I'm really super excited to be talking to her, having the conversation around kind of what led her to this decision and the journey she's gone through, and any lessons we can take away. So welcome, Shawna. So good to have you.
Hi, Viva. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm
Good.
excited to be here.
Perfect. Good early morning, right? We are recording
Yeah.
this on a Friday. What, 8 a.m. for you?
Yeah. It used to not be early, right? This is when I used to be at the office. And now it feels like, oh, this is early.
So early, right? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I'm
because
not a morning person.
you're not.
No.
Yeah, so that this fits you so much better, huh? Yeah, I mean, if you're
Yep.
in the office at 8, you really have to be getting up by 6, right? To get together everything,
Yep, exactly. And then the first hour, I'm really just crabby and I'm just sitting there hoping no one talks to me, right?
right? You're like, stop, guys, I need to wake up. Give me an hour or two before you engage, right? Yes,
Yeah.
I'm still transitioning. No, I get it. So, I would love for you to tell us a little more about yourself and kind of your journey and how did you get here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of like you said in the introduction, I've recently quit my job and gone on my own. But before that, I was really bouncing all over the place career wise.
Okay.
I have had so many different jobs. I was the kid in college who was in like 8 clubs and was the president of many of them, and also worked and also volunteered and also played sports. And I was just doing all the things. And I found that when I left college and I started working, right, and
Mhm.
try to join this like quote unquote like adult world, um, I get this job, this stable 9 to 5 kind of job that lined up with my resume and looked really good and got a good paycheck. And it just wasn't cutting it. Like it wasn't enough. I never felt like I was doing all the things I loved, like
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
short of it. It would be like, okay, this is it. I got the job. And then about
Check.
6 months in or so, it was usually my cutoff. About 6 months in, I'd be like, okay, what's next? Like I'm
Yeah.
getting kind of bored. I'm kind of over it. I got it. I'm good at this job. It's going well. I'm getting good feedback, but it just never felt like it was really enough for me.
Hmm.
If that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was always like seeking, and so then I'd move on. I'd get a different job and I'd get a different job, and it just kept going
Mhm.
and realized that it really yeah, there was just more. There's more to me that I wasn't getting out of this kind of model, that
Mhm.
you go to the office for 8 or 9 hours a day and you
Totally.
do your job. And again, it was great, but for what it was taking out of me, which was so much of my time and so much of my life and so much of my effort and my energy, it just wasn't doing it. It just wasn't
Yeah.
working. It wasn't worth it for me. And that's really where the impetus came in for just leaving and just really completely changing the whole paradigm. After doing that, I mean, multiple times, right?
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like many jobs.
So you tried it out, right? Because many times, right, if we are in a career, in a job, and then, like you said, you get to that point where you feel like something's missing, but you don't know exactly what is it, right? And if then you try a different job, right? Different company, different boss. And so what you found was that even though you changed, Like if once you get into and kind of get acclimated, then you still kind of that feeling comes back?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I was in jobs like everywhere on the spectrum, right? I had the
Okay.
job where I was super stressed out and it takes over your whole life. Like
Yes.
you're on call 24/7, literally getting calls at 2 a.m. and you have to go respond to
Wow.
like a police emergency kind of things.
Wow.
So doing those kinds of, positions, all the way to the office jobs where you get there in the morning. And I describe it as, you sit at your desk and then you open your drawer and you take your brain out and you put it in the drawer and then you sit there and smile. And you just smile all day long and you answer phones and everybody likes you and you're very helpful.
Mhm.
And those are great too for a little while.
Yeah.
So I've been all over that spectrum thinking, oh, I'm too stressed, I need something easier. Oh, this is too easy, I need something more challenging, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just, yeah. And even when I found that really nice balance between easy and difficult,
Mhm.
and I found a boss who I really liked and who was really
Mhm.
helpful, and the job that on paper looked perfect and had everything I was looking for.
Even then.
And yeah, and that was it. That was my last job that I was in. I was an international student advisor at a university, and it was everything I was looking for. Literally, it matched everything, right?
That you had
all the
imagined,
things.
like in a job
Yeah.
that you would want.
Yes, it was the thing I had been working for. I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Mhm.
And yeah, and it just
And what
wasn't cutting
happened?
it. It was good for a little while. And
Okay.
but it felt like, okay, it's not that I'm not that passionate about it, right? I'm not excited to like go to work in the morning. And I
Mhm.
thought, right at first, I just need to get used to it. I just need to, take time. This takes time, right? You
Okay.
need to like, you need to get into it. You need to learn. I'm still
Give it
learning.
time. Yeah.
Yes, you give
Yeah.
yourself that time, and then it's 6 months, and then it's 9 months, and then it's a year. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I still feel the same.
Mhm.
I still
Yeah.
feel the same kind of meh about it. And I'm like,
So what are you touched upon it a little bit with what are those feelings? It's kind of like you said, you start a job initially, it's right, the promise and excitement and the potential, but then what are the feelings that start to come up for you as you
yeah.
that lead you to start realizing, oh, again, wasn't it?
Yeah, for me, it's a lack of alignment. It's really a lack of feeling, right? It's a lack of
Okay.
alignment with um my greatest gifts and strengths. That's the
Okay.
big one, right? Um, even in the job that looks like it's meeting what I want to do and what I'm good at,
Hmm.
um, it feels like I'm not really in my stride, right? I'm not like really living up to my potential.
Hmm. So
Is
there's
kind of what I'm
something
always feeling
lacking.
like.
That feeling keeps coming back up with even every job you try, that there's
Yeah.
something missing.
Yeah, like I could be doing so much more than this. I could really be doing just making more of an impact, right?
Mhm.
That was a big one.
That
And then
knowing.
beyond, yeah, knowing that, oh man, I have so much more potential than
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Can you step into kind of your own power, right? And confidence,
Yeah,
a healthy place, right?
absolutely. Yeah. And instead always feeling like I need to kind of bring it down a level, right? I
Mhm.
need to like, I
Yeah.
need to be less. I need to like, okay, that's a little bit too much. You need to like
Be
calm
happy
down.
with
You're
what
right
you
here.
have, right?
Yeah, be happy with what you have. Be grateful for the job
Yes.
you have.
Yes.
Um, and I'm like, whoa, guys, like, don't you care?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, and there's a balance, right? It's tricky because like that narrative, right? Where there is definitely you want to be grateful, right? And the bigger sense of things for the life that we have and the blessings we have. But at the same time, how do you balance to know when their gratitude, when you're using it as an excuse to stay below your potential, right? To not go for it.
that's the question, right? That's huge, Vibe. Like, so absolutely. And the way I'm coming from it, I'm thinking like, I want to make a difference. Like I'm an ENFJ for people who know Myers-Briggs. Like I'm
I don't
just
know what that
very,
means. I
it's
know
okay.
Myers, I've heard of Myers-Briggs, but like these letters,
Yeah.
break it
So an
down for people.
ENFJ is it's called the teacher, but it's
Okay.
the very kind of idealistic teacher who wants to change the world, right? Oprah
Okay.
Winfrey, Nelson Mandela, those are the
Okay.
classic
Vision.
ENFJs. Yeah.
Okay.
They want to do stuff, and they want to help people. Like
Yeah.
they want to start a movement. Like I'm like,
Make a big
let's
impact.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm
I can totally
constantly
see that.
feeling like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm constantly like, let's go. Let's move mountains here. And
So
so
essentially,
being
your jobs were feeling too small.
yes,
Okay. Keep going. Sorry.
always. Yes. Always my
Yeah.
jobs are feeling too small and stifling. And like people are settling.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my excuse, my impression of every job I've ever done is everyone here is just kind of settled into this really
Mm-hmm.
comfortable place, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all just comfortable with their paycheck and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, going out on the weekends and
Mm-hmm.
having their cat and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah. You're like,
And
let's
so that
go.
yeah, I want to make change. I want to like improve. I'm like super growth mindset. Like, let's go, let's
Yeah.
make this better. And so that can definitely be perceived by some, like you say, as ingratitude,
Too
as you're
much.
trying too hard, as like, what are you doing? You know?
Living in the
Um,
clouds. Too much.
right. And you just need to like learn the ropes
Yep. Settle
and then
down.
you'll right.
Yes. Yes.
Where
Yes.
in reality, it's like, yeah, you learn the ropes. And my experience, learning the ropes means you kind of get that beaten out of you until you're
Mm-hmm.
just like beat into submission of
Yeah.
like settling and being
Yeah.
okay with mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not okay with mediocrity. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally get it. And I get that um it's not a criticism of people who have 9 to 5 jobs, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 You're just
And
sharing your experience, right?
yeah, and my personality type is just like I
Mm-hmm.
can't do that. I really
Yeah.
can't. And it's just not okay with me. And at the end of the day, I always just come back to this is a job, right? This is a job
But
that's
it's also
supposed to
your life.
serve me. Yeah, it's supposed to serve me and serve my life. And
Yes.
this is I mean,
Yes.
you can say that it's this that I need to calm down and it's
Make yourself
just kind of
small.
settle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is my own
Mm-hmm.
one life. Like
Yes.
I only get one. And
Yeah.
why would I spend it, kind of sitting in, playing with my doilies for a Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings reference. Like I'm not gonna just like stay in my habit hole and kind of settle.
Totally.
I
Yeah.
can't. I
Mhm.
just can't. Sometimes I wish I could. Like for years, I wish I could. I wish I could just be okay with that job and
Right.
be happy and take my paycheck and then pursue, I don't know, rock climbing or something in my free time. And that's a
Right.
good life. But
Right. And that's
somehow
what
I
the
just
world
can't.
kind of models for you, like, right? That's what you're taught in school, right? The narrative, you go to school, you get a job. That's what a lot of the world, a lot of your colleagues, right, are modeling you and kind of, so you are on, what did you go to school for?
Yeah, good question. So my bachelor's was in Spanish and teaching ESL, like
Okay.
language teaching and learning. So education, linguistics, second language acquisition, all of
Okay.
that. And then my master's is similarly in teaching ESL, so linguistics and Hispanic linguistics. And I started teaching. So that's where I started off, was in the education world and teaching
Okay.
language. And I still do, on the side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it
um,
kind of fits your perk. I mean, amazing thing is that you did go to school for kind of on a bigger scheme of things for something that you are feeling very on purpose for, right? The teaching goes
Absolutely. Oh
along
yeah.
changing the world, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and I love language teaching and learning. I will do it forever. Like that's
Beautiful.
never
Okay.
gonna stop. But
And so you went into teaching and then
Mhm.
you got what was missing for you? What kind of what prompted you to start looking for something else?
Yeah, to be honest, when I was in the teaching world, life just kind of happened, and the
Okay.
realities of the job market happened, and these kinds of practical things came about in which my husband wanted to go to grad school in a different state. We needed to move.
Mm,
There weren't any full-time jobs there in ESL, English or
okay.
Spanish, like teaching jobs.
Mhm.
And I needed a full-time job with benefits. So I look into student services, and I look into, something that's a little bit more stable, and these
Yeah.
kinds of practicalities that come along with the working world. And I still was able to teach in some respect in all of those jobs, right? I was
Mhm.
still able to do something like that, and kind of fill my teaching cup a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
And honestly, I liked every job I've ever had. I really did. I enjoyed it in some way or another.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, it wasn't that. It wasn't like I hated it. It wasn't like what I was doing was drudgery
Yeah.
necessarily. Um, it was just not enough.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Kind of that sense of that there's still something, that little voice, right? That there's something
absolutely.
missing. And it's so amazing to me because what you're saying is you went for a major, right? That's on purpose overall. And even your jobs, right, are still kind of related to education, but still it's kind of not the perfect form for you, even though it's a bigger like alignment in a bigger field of education, right? But you're still hearing and feeling this nagging, right? Feeling that voice inside of you that is like just unsettled at some point of time. So now you're going through, you graduate, right? You go through life, you're trying out these different positions in different companies and different forms and fashions, right? Of kind of in education and others. So where, and then you're also taking advice, right, from you're hearing the voices or opinions of the others. Well, you're not, you just need to give it more time, right? Or you need to go up the ropes, right? And etc. So when do you get to a point of clarity for yourself that no, I've tried enough, like now I'm quitting, this is not for me?
Yeah, absolutely. It took some time for sure. And it took um me really trusting myself, and
Mhm.
really trusting, um to be honest, my spouse, my husband was a huge
Mm.
piece.
Okay.
And he was really helpful in really seeing, like, helping me to see that, right, everything we're talking about, because it's easy when you're in that position
Mhm.
to just write it off, and
Mhm.
just to kind of ignore it, and just to
Keep
think,
going.
oh no, I need to just keep going, right? Oh, I just need to do this, I just need to do that, I should.
Yeah.
It's really easy to fall into that, and to think that, you need to change, right? It's like, no, I just need to get better at this, or I need to gain these skills, or I need to learn to work in this environment. um it's really easy to do that for some reason, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
to keep all the, there are all these good reasons, right? Yeah,
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 and
valid, yeah.
it took, for me, it took someone outside of me,
Okay,
um who knew me really well, and who really
okay,
cared about me,
yeah.
to kind of slap me across the face a little bit and say, like, no, like, you are good the way that you are, and the way that you are made, and the way that, um you are, your personality, all of that is good, and that's
Mhm,
something you need to listen to.
mhm,
Not all these other voices and all of these other kind of ideas.
mhm.
You
And
need to listen to
everyone,
you, and to pursue that.
mhm,
And ultimately, that's the most important thing, because I don't need, this is the voice of my husband now, is like, I don't need someone who's checking all the boxes. I need a happy wife.
mhm,
I want you to be happy. I want you to be
mhm,
yourself. I want you to be free.
mhm.
Um, and we can figure everything
Wow,
else out from there.
wow. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. That is
Yeah,
so, so you're talking about the power of, support, right? In this, in a close circle, and in this instance, it was your husband, but somebody almost, it sounds like, believing in you more than you did or you dared
definitely.
to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, like, it's that difference between, I mean, I believed in myself in the sense that
Hmm.
I knew I could do this job. I could do this 9 to 5. I can figure it out.
Hmm.
I'm very capable. I'm a very fast learner. et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
Right. I believed in myself in that way that I could do
Yeah,
whatever,
of course.
but I didn't trust myself in the sense that of like trusting that little voice that you're talking about, right?
You can
I
do
didn't
more than
trust,
that.
yeah, and I didn't trust that was something worth listening to,
Mhm.
um, above all, right? I was kind of putting the paycheck and the benefits and the health insurance and all these kinds of things. I was putting that above all. I was putting that as my standard, that as the
Mhm.
ultimate say so, right?
The
That's what
practical.
trumps everything, right? Yeah, the practical. I've always been a
Yes,
very practical person somehow.
yes. But I'm kind of seeing this vision. He almost gave the wind in your wings, right? To kind of lift up and fly higher,
Hmm.
elevate
Hmm.
yourself and believe in yourself. And not just that, yeah, you can do this 9 to 5, but yes, you can do that more thing that your soul and your heart is longing for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the biggest. I mean, that was the biggest kind of push for me, right? And at that point, it was building.
Mm-hmm.
This was just kind of the spark that I
Mm-hmm.
needed. Um, and once I heard it, and I allowed myself to really hear what he was saying,
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was right. It was very clear. It was just like, oh yes, you're totally right. Um, I just needed that little push.
Yeah, and
So
that is so
so
beautiful.
yeah, and it was so powerful. And it was my husband. It was also like a trusted friend of ours that we really, really respected, who's older and has like a really amazing job, this corporate job, whatever. But she's super happy. Like she's really happy and like loves life. And I remember we were talking about it one night and my husband had kind of brought it up, like, yeah, Shauna's kind of thinking of quitting her job. And to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, don't say that. Whatever. This is just nothing, don't,
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
really.
Minimizing it, yeah.
It's just a little thing. And we end up talking about it. And I'm just expressing basically what we've been talking about, that I'm like, just doesn't feel like enough. It's not fulfilling. And I was so surprised by her response. And again, this is a trusted friend who knows me really well and who I really respect. And what she said was, I've always I've always seen that in you. That I've always thought for you, you either need to be at the top or on your own,
Mm-hmm.
is what she said. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like I was so
And
surprised.
clarity.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, wow. And yeah, I just never had heard that. I never seen myself that way. She's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's just you, just how, like, knowing you and knowing your personality, you either need to be at the top of an organization or you need to be on your own. And you're not going to be satisfied any other way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Boom. How is it so much easier so sometimes for people around us to have more clarity than we have in our heads?
That is the question, Viva. I know it's weird. It's weird and it's tough to deal with, but it's so true. It's so true that
Mhm,
we end up being in our own heads so much,
mhm,
and we end up listening to all of these outside,
mhm,
it's not even outside sources, just like these messages that we have built up in our minds, right? These kind of soundtracks of like,
mhm,
you got to do this, you got to do what's on your resume, you got to stick to your own field, you got to
mhm,
stay in your lane.
mhm,
um and somehow those take kind of the driver's seat.
mhm.
Those kind of just like end up being what's leading the way.
Yeah, what's
um
front and center, that's like that dialogue in our heads is so, that voice is so strong, the practical voice.
yeah, absolutely. And what I realized is I can say that I'm being practical, right? I'm being a realist or whatever, but
Right.
ultimately it's actually really impractical
Mhm,
to be in a job that
mhm.
you're not fulfilled in, for
Yeah.
me, right? And I don't know, other people might not feel this way, but for me it's actually really impractical because it really sets me up for an unhappy life. Like it threw off so many other aspects of my life. It
Yeah.
got me so out of alignment in
Mhm,
so many other ways that
mhm,
I did not even realize until I quit my job. And then I'm like, whoa,
mhm,
I've been having this same kind of, I don't know, the same kind of allowing that soundtrack to take the driver's seat, if you will. I've
Mhm,
been doing that in my marriage, in raising my family,
mhm,
in buying our house, where we live. I mean, everything.
mhm,
And it's like, where even am I? How did I even get here all of a sudden, right?
mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
this realization that oh my goodness, I didn't even know that I was doing this. And all of a sudden I'm living a life that isn't one that I chose. Like this isn't
Mhm,
what I really wanted.
mhm.
This is, and I'm still right now isn't really what I want. It's not
Yes.
really what like is making me happy.
Mhm,
But I didn't see that. I didn't see that somehow until I got this clarity, right? Until this like moment of clarity. And for me, it really was from the outside. I needed that outside perspective. I
mhm.
needed someone who knew me and who could see it from an objective stance
Yes.
and could tell
Somebody
me
who loved you, right, and wanted the best for you. Yes.
exactly and could really kind of help me see the trees in the forest, if you will, right?
Yes. And that's actually, I mean, I'm going down so many paths of thinking and kind of what I like so many things that you're mentioning are, resonating with me. And I think what you're bringing up is so important. And actually, this is one of my missions or my desires. What I'm working on is to build a community of women, to empower them with the different career advice and ideas and mindset tips, because it's like when we are in the box, right, and if we're primarily, what's around us, usually, the company will obviously have their goals and what they're looking for you to accomplish, right? And that's what you hear, that's how you should behave 9 to 5, and understandably so, right? It's their business. And then, it's so important to have maybe an outside community, or like of loving people who have also gone for it, right? Other ideas, kind of bigger thinking and inspiration in your life, to connect with that longing, kind of to understand that it is real and it's possible for you. Because like you said about the practicality of things, at the end of the day, you don't want to go through life and then get to 70 and look back and think,
Yeah.
what if I had tried? So let me ask you this. So the clarity, do you need space and time to get clarity? Because what you're saying is when you're busy, right, with these jobs and going through the motions and then taking care of your family, kids, right, personal life, friends, you don't have time to think, right? You just go, and it seems like, okay, this is normal, right? I'll just get
Hmm.
on with this kind of rat race, if you will.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't feel like I necessarily spent a lot of time reflecting, right,
Mhm. Yeah.
in my day to day.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, the pandemic had a huge piece in this, right? When
Okay.
all of a sudden I'm working from home
Okay.
and my my daily work tasks were significantly cut back. I didn't have as much to do, at least at
Okay.
first, right?
Okay.
And so I'm at home and I can work and I can get done with everything by noon
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I'm salaried and I'm okay, I'm done with my work, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot more time. I'm spending
Right.
more time with my family.
Mhm.
I'm quarantined with my in-laws. I'm It's just like these kinds of things had a huge piece of that.
Okay.
And so
So you had more time. Did you have more
definitely
time to
had more
connect with
time.
yourself too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like just have more it just kind of put things in perspective, right? Which I think is what everyone is saying
Mm-hmm.
about the pandemic and what it did to their work life. It
Mm-hmm.
just put things into perspective of, whoa, what am I doing? And what I'm doing with my time, Monday through Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
8 to 5 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that matters. Like that
Mm-hmm.
really matters.
Right.
And somehow before this, I kind of had it in like a separate box in my head of like,
Mm-hmm.
well, there's my job and that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then outside of that is when I do like live my life.
Life, right?
Like that's what
Job
yeah,
and your life. Yes. But so much of
right.
your week, right, is taken
Yeah.
up or
And it
goes
was
to your
just,
job.
and it was such a folly. Like it was such a lie that I was telling myself that what I did in my job had no effect
Mm-hmm.
on the rest of my life. on
Mhm.
my marriage, on my family, on my hobbies, on my friends. Like, that was not true. It had a huge impact. And the fact that I wasn't happy in my 9 to 5
Mhm.
literally, in a way, kind of dictated the rest of my life, because I
Yeah.
get home and I'm tired, and I've given myself so much of myself, and I'm spent, right? And then my family gets what's left over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really, like, realizing that it's like, whoa, this is not how I want to live. I mean,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, that's it's just that simple. That's
Yeah.
not what I want. Those are not my priorities. At least that's
Yeah.
not what I want my priorities to be. And so I need to
Yeah.
change something.
So it really, so it was, you had a couple people in your life, right? That helped you get clarity. Then there's the pandemic, right? And having more space to reflect, right? More time. What else would you say what helped you, and what can help somebody? Because I think there's so many people who are can relate. They have this feeling, right, that something's missing, but they don't really know, like it's a like seems like a long journey or overwhelming journey, or kind of what step, like what's next, or what do I do, right,
Yeah.
to get on the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. To be honest, the last piece of it, it comes down to trust, and knowing that that longing, for me, that longing, that desire,
Mhm.
that voice, right? Whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, that's
Yeah.
there for a reason. That's not something I should ignore. It's
Mhm.
not random. Um, it's there for a reason, meaning that I can trust it, that I can follow it, and it'll be okay, right? That it's
Oh my
not going to
God,
lead me astray.
you're speaking to my heart. I feel it. I feel it in my heart. Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I know that can be scary. I mean, it is. It's super scary, because it's recognizing that I'm not in control. It's
Mhm.
recognizing that there's something greater than me.
Mhm.
Um, and there's a plan. I mean,
Mhm.
and it's going to sound different to different people, right? And I know that those kind of that kind of idea can
Yeah,
come off differently to different people
that's
based on, like,
okay.
your religious background and everything. But for me, it's essential.
Mhm.
It's absolutely essential, because if I didn't believe that it was there for a reason, I would never be able to take that step. It would just end there. It would end with, I know I'm not happy. I know I could do more. People tell me that I could do more. People who love me know that I could do more, and that this isn't working for me. And I just kind of shrug my shoulders and, well, what can I do? I guess
Mhm.
that's it. I guess I'm just going to be stuck this way forever. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it sounds silly, but I honestly think I would be resolved to that
Mhm.
if it weren't for really knowing and really believing that that's there for a reason, and that's something that I can listen to, and that I can trust, and that actually can allow me to take a step in action in my life, and that it's going to be okay.
Mhm.
And that it's there for a reason, that there's a different path for me, that there's
Yeah.
something else for me waiting for me.
Mhm. I think what you're giving people is um, something so beautiful and so powerful, because sometimes we need, this is what you're talking about, like you are being now a friend to somebody else, right? We need, like your husband was for you, like your friend, right, your that you had conversations was for you, to kind of give them permission, right? That validation, right? Because so much of like the voices can tone it down, like, oh, like ignore it, it doesn't matter, right? It's a stupid thing, just keep going, right? You need to pay for this, you need to pay for your house, you need to pay, just keep going, right? But like to connect with that and validate it for somebody, like sometimes, like that's the biggest step. I think that's the first biggest step.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is. And it's so much of, like you said in the beginning, it's a mindset shift.
Hmm.
It's really a mindset shift that comes with it.
Hmm.
And it's not easy.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that
Oh,
at all.
yeah,
It's actually really difficult, and it's really scary, and it's
yeah.
it's a big deal.
And how
And
do you
so
surrender the control? Because we are taught to control in your goals, control your clients, control the outcomes, control everything, right? Are you in,
mhm,
right? We are taught to control every outcome we can. So this is so almost, might be intuitive, but counterintuitive in a sense that what we are being told every day.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I for sure feel that way, that I was taught that. And to make it kind of even worse for me, I grew up in a very financially unstable environment. So I grew up in a very low income home. I grew up in poverty. I grew up like really knowing, and like knowing to my bones what it means to not have money. And
Mhm,
so that brings a whole nother layer, right? This like
mhm,
money mindset, if you will, that like
mhm,
that kind of is there. It's there all
mhm.
the time. And
The
behind your,
fear.
yeah, behind your actions, behind your motivations, it's this knowing. For me, it's like a bar that I'm like, I will not cross that bar. Like I need to have financial stability above
Yes.
all else. Like it's
Yes.
it's something that was like ingrained in me, right? Um and has made me, it's contributed to, I mean, who I am, and being kind of an overachiever and being kind of like
Mhm.
extra stable and extra practical.
Yes.
Even though my personality type can be kind of idealistic, I'm
Yeah.
actually always been really practical. And I think that's a big part of that is based on this kind of conditioning that I've had, and based in being afraid and putting like money above all else, because I know what it's like to not have it, and how scary it
Mhm.
can be to have that financial instability.
Of
And
course.
so I think that's a big part of it, is working with our money mindset, being recognizing, how do I think about money? How do I think about what it means to make money or not make money?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more to it than
Yeah.
just that, than just the number.
Yeah.
That's
So
what
where
I
are you
learned
on
about
your
myself.
journey and kind of your mindset change and lessons there, as you said, thinking about money and time differently and changing your relationship with that?
Oh my gosh, yes, it's been huge. So I'll try to keep it short. so one, so the big thing
Keep,
that
yeah,
I
whatever you
recognized,
comes to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So the big thing I recognized was so much of how I approach life
Mhm.
was actually related to how I think about money. So what does it mean to make money or to not make money? In my mind, right?
Mhm.
I I made this connection
Mhm.
between, if you don't make this amount of money, or if you only make this amount of money, you are also going to be involved with emotional instability, right? You're also going to get involved with drugs and
Wow.
alcohol and like
Yeah.
all of these things that as a child,
Mhm.
right, that I like grew up with. I made these connections in my mind. And
Wow.
so, to be honest, it literally took a conversation with my husband where I could just be super honest and super vulnerable and
Yeah.
bring this stuff up, in which I was like, okay, if I quit my job and we do this, because it's going to take a moment in which we make less money, right?
Yeah.
Temporarily, we're going to make less money.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there and go through everything in my mind, like anything that just came up, and I had to just say it out loud. And maybe this is because I'm crazy, but like
Okay.
this is
Okay.
just how I
So
am. But
you're
for me, it was really
naming
helpful. I was naming it, everything that just came up. So I'm just sitting
your
there.
fears.
Yeah. So I'm just
Okay.
sitting there. I'm like, okay, so if we make this amount of money, we're not going to neglect our children. He's like, no, we're not going to neglect our children. Okay. And we're not going to become alcoholics. We're not going to become alcoholics.
Wow.
We're not going to face social isolation. We're not going to face social isolation. We're going to have all of our same friends. We're going to have all of
Mhm.
our same networks. We're going to have all of our same support.
Mhm.
Okay. We're not going to, like, right? I had to
Yeah.
literally name every single one of these things that I had, like, kind of subconsciously or whatever,
Like
deep down,
believe,
had
right? You have to
connected. Yes, I had believed people who
yeah.
don't make money are also addicted to drugs. people people who live in poverty
Mhm.
are also super dependent,
Mhm.
and I don't know, have kind of an inferiority complex.
Mhm.
People who make this amount of money are constantly looking for handouts. People
Mhm.
who make, like, all of this, right,
Yeah. The
was
meanings you
ingrained in
made as a
there.
child.
Exactly. And I needed to like name it. I needed to like work through that,
Mhm.
and actually look at reality, which is the reality is me quitting my job and making less money is not going to change anything other
Mhm.
than me quitting my job and making less money.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah. So
Like it's not.
essentially, you named out your connections or beliefs or associations you had and questioned them. Is that true? And the more power, and even more amazingly, you had a supportive partner that you could go through with this exercise and these crazy voices that seem like crazy, right? In your head.
Yes, like we're gonna lose all of our friends.
Yeah.
It's like when I say it out loud, of course it
Yeah.
seems absolutely ridiculous. But somehow in there, in my
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of believed that in some way. That
Yeah.
I can't have all these awesome friends who have amazing jobs and families and make money and are stable and happy and right.
Yeah.
I can't have all of that if I quit my job and we make less money. That doesn't like
Yeah.
right? And I needed to like say that out loud. And I needed to like really recognize and look at reality and say, no, that's not reality. That's not the truth.
So would you say, so anybody, right, who we all have these beliefs and some kind of associations, right, in our heads, and then would you say it's a helpful exercise for anybody kind of name these beliefs? And did it help you like naming them, looking at them, questioning them? Did that help you release them?
Absolutely.
Yep.
100%. It helped me so much. It helped me just um like I said, I didn't even realize the power that they had over me
Mhm.
until I did that. Until I really, really was honest with what was
Mhm.
going on, with what I was afraid of, with what I believed on some level. Because I knew, right, again, in like my conscious mind, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That's silly. That's stupid.
Mhm.
But that doesn't change the fact that I still kind of believe it deep down. So
So it's
I
really you
needed to
had to
say it.
bring them out, like, and shine the light on them. It's kind like it's not as, I guess, powerful to know it in your head. It's like all the committee in your head. I think I've heard the analogy, right? To talk it out between the voices, right? Is still not
Yeah.
good enough. You're like, what helped you was to put them out verbally and on paper.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like I really needed to, like you said, shine a light is a beautiful analogy. Like
Or
really
bring
bring
out
it
it
out into the
sometimes seems
light.
like bringing out the crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Bring it out and be honest. And like this is actually where I'm at. Because if I don't know where I'm actually at, how am I ever gonna see where I'm going? How am
Mhm.
I ever going to change where I want to
Yeah,
be? How am I ever going to get to where I want to be or even know where I want to be if I don't know where I'm at? Like I need to be
so
honest of where I'm at right now. And that was
yeah,
a big part of it was recognizing my kind of beliefs about yeah, you can say money, but it's really even deeper than that, right? It's about who I am and my identity and my worthiness and
yeah,
my
that you're not going to
value.
be enough, maybe, right? If you are not making this money, then are you
Yeah.
enough
Yeah, and am I
together?
even worthy of my friends? Am I even worthy of the
Right.
connections that we have or,
Yeah. Will
the
they love
lifestyle
me?
we live? Yeah. And, sometimes I even reflect on it now. It just happened the other day. My husband and I took my son, he's 19 months old, little guy, and
I
we took
saw
him to
him.
this,
So cute.
yeah, yeah. We took him to this little community park in Madison, Wisconsin, where we were just staying with friends. And it's like a Tuesday afternoon, and we're just hanging out at this park, both of us playing with our son, having a great time. And it just took me aback. All of a sudden, I looked up, and I think I just recognized, like, I don't know, I probably recognized a kind of a lower income apartment nearby or people coming home from work. And it just struck me all of a sudden, like, this is my life. This is amazing. Like
Yeah.
who gets to do this? Who gets to just like be together as a family randomly on a Tuesday afternoon, right? Like we're
Yeah.
just enjoying ourselves with not a care in the world,
Yeah.
not even near like hundreds of miles from home, just like
Yeah.
enjoying our life. This is amazing. And I think my old self would have actually been kind of freaked out by that. And
Hmm.
my first response, instead of gratitude and feeling like this is amazing, my first response would be, who am I to be
Hmm.
here? Who am I to do this? Oh my goodness. I need to be working. I need to be making money, right? This is risky. Like,
Something's
I
bad
can't be
going
doing this.
from doing it.
Yeah, something bad is gonna happen. This is irresponsible.
Yeah.
like
So
all of
many
these
judgments,
voices.
right?
Yes, absolutely. So many judgments. And now, like in this moment, I could actually just be grateful and just be like, this is awesome. This is
You could
great.
actually take it in.
I can enjoy it. Let's go down
Yeah.
the slide again. Like
Oh, that is so
and
beautiful.
this is great. And so not only being able to enjoy it, but then actually recognizing that change in myself was
Hmm.
even more amazing, right? Even more, I can
Yeah.
be even more grateful that I can recognize that change in
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. No, I'm so excited for you. And I'm like about the possibility and what's next. And that is such a beautiful place. And now you literally have the opportunity to architect, right? And then build brick by brick, right? Lego bricks or whatever, sandcastle, whatever material you choose, you can now create your life, including your professional life, right? Your career, job, business, whatever it is, in the way that you desire. And then if like with Legos, if you want to change out the brick or the color, right, you change it out. So what's next for you? Tell me a little bit more, kind of where you're at right now, and yeah, what stage and are you at now?
I love that vibe, and I love those analogies because it's so true. And that's a whole separate conversation of how you can change out those bricks and you can choose the material and all that, because that's a different mindset too, right? When you're
Yes,
coming out of a 9 to 5 world, that's a whole nother kind of learning
I
curve
know.
there. Yeah. So that's where I'm at now. It's this new learning curve
Mhm,
of recognizing, oh wait, I don't need to work this way. I don't
mhm,
need to do it this way. If this isn't working for me, I'm going to
mhm.
do it differently.
Yeah,
So I'm building a business. I'm building multiple businesses, to be honest.
that's
I'm very
exciting.
I'm all over the place, and it is exciting. It's really exciting, and what is great about it is it fits me.
It's kind
It
of you
fits
going back to
me.
like you were like a kid, right? Or in the school, you described yourself. It kind of sounds like in your element.
Exactly. Exactly. It's back to like when I was in college. I'm back in my element of like, hey, let's do all of these things. I'm excited about all of these things. I
Hmm.
love language teaching, right? But I also love doing kind of operations and administrative kind of work when I know that it's for a greater cause. So I'm going
Hmm.
to do that too. And then I'm also going to do this. So I've got multiple projects going on simultaneously all the time.
That's
And I've got a podcast interview in the morning, and I'm leading an implementation session for an online program in the afternoon. And I'm doing these other things, and I'm going for a walk with my son,
yeah.
soon, right? Like I can do all of those things
Hmm.
in my day. And it
That's
doesn't need to
awesome.
be something I do try to squeeze in the evenings somehow,
Right.
between dinner and bedtime. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't work.
No, I completely hear you. Do you think that it is possible though, right? So for you, it was you had a partner, right? And you guys came together and were able to do it, as a partnership. But let's say, do you think it's possible for people to make their way also together while they're also keeping, that stability and, certain level of income coming in and keeping their quote unquote day job?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I talk about this in my podcast. That's one of my biggest points is like, I'm not advocating everybody quits their day job.
Mhm.
I'm really not. I don't believe that's the
That's for
answer for
everybody,
everyone.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. It just happened to be the answer me. That's all,
Yes.
and I interview people. Like there's this one friend who I used to work with actually. And I talked to him because he's an excellent example of making your day job work for you.
Hmm.
And so for him, it's like, I don't know. I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed by him. But he somehow was able to just create this whole new position for himself. And he worked it
Yep.
out with his boss where he's like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. And for him, he's in higher ed. So that's kind of my background, right? University life.
Mhm.
And he was in residence life. And anybody who knows anything about that, it's very stressful, like working with the dorms and working with students in this. And he's like, I don't want to be in residence life anymore.
Mhm.
but he was literally like a director of residence life. How do you get out of residence life? It's crazy. But he just worked with his boss, worked with this within the systems, and within a couple of years, he has his own position. He got his own graduate assistant, so basically like his own intern that he got to hire, his own office space, his own everything, his own programs. It's amazing. Like I respect and admire him so much.
Mhm.
And that's what works for him, you know, like
Yeah.
he was able to do that within the confines of his corporation, right? His
Yeah.
university. He kept his benefit package. He
Mhm.
increased his salary, right? He gets
Yeah.
to make more money.
Got a
And
job that
that
he's more fulfilled and likes.
exactly, and
Yeah.
doing like really playing to his strengths and his skills. And
Mhm.
so 100%, do I believe it's possible? Yes, like
It's
of
awesome.
course. And that is the answer for a lot of people, you know.
Yeah.
um yeah, so yes, the answer is yes.
That's awesome. No, I totally believe that like there's so many ways, and I really, that's why I love you sharing your way, right? What's worked for you. And I think when we talked about kind of like that, I saw what you're doing right now brings out kind of that more natural side of you that was also out when you were in school, being a part of 8 committees and clubs and whatnot projects. So there's this exercise, right? If people are stuck and don't know kind of what is their purpose or what is the next best step even that they should be taking, right, to make a change, do you feel like would it be possible, or do you think it's helpful, not possible, for them to do the exercise of like really reflect back and write out what lit you up as a child or in your early years? Like, what were your passions? What were you into? Like kind of
Yeah,
make some of the connections, observations, right? What played to your strengths and what lit you up, what energized you?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, a question that was helpful for me was like, when were you happiest? And
Hmm.
that's it. And then just reflecting on that and thinking about it. And to me, I'm like, when I was in college, when I was in college and I was
Yeah.
doing all of these things and I was really social and I got to meet people all the time and I got to help people and I was, you know, contributing to a greater cause and volunteering and
Hmm.
doing kind of charity work all the time. That was huge. So when were you happiest? And then really writing it out, being
Hmm.
specific, be
Hmm.
specific about it. The other thing that helped me was really, again, getting back into like your personality type. I know not everyone's
Okay.
into it, but
Like knowing
it was
yourself.
super helpful. Knowing yourself, yeah.
Mhm.
And there are lots of, I mean, there are inventories and quizzes and right, all of these
Yeah,
personality
like you
tests you
said,
can take.
Myers-Briggs, there's
Yeah,
Enneagram.
exactly. Myers-Briggs was super helpful for me. In fact, I have a podcast episode with Nina Zapala, who
Okay.
does the spiritual side of personality typing. And this is exactly what we talk about, is how you can get to know yourself
Hmm.
in this way and what it means for you,
Hmm.
really. I mean, like big picture wise, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And that was
Beautiful.
huge for me. So getting to know yourself in those kinds of ways,
Mhm.
yeah, was really, really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, those are two big steps, a great start. And I like, so if anybody who's listening, if you feel stuck, if you feel that nagging feeling deep down inside that something's missing, that there's something bigger, kind of what you were feeling, you're meant for, that this form is good, like you can do it. But when you tap into kind of that more powerful place, right? The more centered place where you believe, some call it your soul or connectedness with source and God, whatever you believe. But when you tap into that you can do more, you're meant for more. And there's really some kind of level of dissatisfaction, right? That,
Yeah.
if you pay attention. So reflect back, when were you happiest? And kind of like what you said, maybe more details, like what were you doing, what were the activities, right, that you were focusing, that were really energizing you. And then
Hmm.
the getting to know yourself and more digging into, whatever personality test you want to start with. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I love
And
that.
then seeing, is it possible? I mean, once you write those things out, is it possible to do that in your day job? You know,
Yes.
is it possible to do that? Can you just tell your boss? Sometimes it's that simple. Sitting
Yeah.
down with your supervisor, having a conversation. Hey, I'm really good at these things and I'm really happy when I'm doing more of these kinds of things.
Mhm.
what can we do? Right.
Yeah.
And you might be surprised. Your boss might be like, whoa, thank you for telling me. Absolutely. Like, I would actually love for you to do more of those things, you know?
Yeah,
And who knows? It could be
exactly.
that simple.
Yeah. Or like you said, the powerful example that I also know of examples, and even in my own life, where you can create positions that are not posted or not there when you started, but because of kind of you working, understanding yourself, and then working with different people, you can create those opportunities. Totally.
Oh
I mean,
yeah. And you know them. I mean, you know them. You know the corporation or the university or, you know, that kind of thing. And that's valuable. I
yeah,
mean, by you already knowing the systems and the people and you're already in, it's
yes,
way more valuable to them to be able to say like, oh, we can utilize this resource as
right.
opposed to losing you, needing to rehire someone. Like they don't want to do
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
you might be surprised that they would be more receptive to
yeah,
something like that if you just ask, just bring it
yeah.
up.
So many paths, really, so many paths. So, I mean, that's like, I think the key or the overall arching theme is like that it's possible. And I want you to believe, any listener to believe that it is possible for them to end up, and that in their ideal job where they don't need vacation from, or they don't need the weekend from to recover, right? To kind of come out of the days and then, oh, now we'll do this heavy thing all over again and I'll get to live on the weekends, right? Or
Yeah.
a couple of vacations a year. I mean, like you said, I believe, I agree with you. It's not practical.
Yeah.
Not practical for you, for your family, and for your best life. So,
Yeah.
Shawna, tell us, how can people find you? How can they work with you? And where are you and what's next for you?
Absolutely. The easiest way is just on Instagram, at I am Shawna Wicker. And you know, I do one-on-one coaching available. I also have a podcast. It's called The Multi-Passionate Millennial. So you can hang
Love.
out there if you want to. If this was helpful, if you like stories like this, it's pretty much this. You know, I talk about this kind of stuff over there a
Perfect. And
lot.
that will be available, you said. It's not available yet, but it will be.
This summer, later,
Yeah.
sometime, it'll be
Yeah.
up. It's available now. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify,
Okay.
on all the places that you find
Okay.
podcasts.
Perfect. And it's for I am Shawna Wicker. It's
KER.
WICKER to
Yep,
spell out your last name. Perfect.
exactly.
Well, thank you so much. This is such a
Yeah.
fun conversation. I
Oh, yeah.
really appreciate
Anytime.
your time.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I love being on.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, Shawna.
All right. Thanks, Diva.
Bye.